Hello, hello, my little glowstones. It is Glowstone here, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we will be going through the lost media surrounding Ultimate Spider-Man 2, the video game. And if you don't know what lost media is, basically it is media of something, whether it be a cartoon, TV show, movie, video game, what have you, that has been either lost to time and not archived, or archived but not published to the public. And in today's video, we will be going through some of that concept art and game details here today, as I have a couple of websites that you and I will be going through. And we will be reacting to this news together. I will be basically reading it and then giving my opinion on it as we go through this together. So, and quick side note as well, all of these sources and everything will be in the comments down below and in the description. And if you enjoyed today's video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Alright, let's get right into it. Here on the first website, we have comicbook.com. Again, all of these websites will be down in the description and comment section down below. Alright, and without further ado, let's go. Although Ultimate Spider-Man 2 almost happened, new details have emerged that paint a picture of what the game could have been like. The webhead is alive and well in the video game space right now, thanks to not only Insomniac Games, but also Spider-Man's appearances in other games, like Marvel Rivals. He's one of Marvel's most important and popular characters, so it's obviously important to make sure he is given the best treatment in all the different mediums he pops up in. Spider-Man helped pave some of the way for what superhero games could be with Spider-Man 2, the movie tie-in game, and the incredibly unique game adaptation of the Ultimate Spider-Man comics. Okay, and so let's start off just with this paragraph here, this right here. I do agree that Spider-Man has very much helped with the gaming world for superheroes and everything. I think honestly, Spider-Man is up there when it comes to not only the most important video game or comic book video games out there, but also some of the best. In my opinion, Spider-Man 1 and 2 by Insomniac are amazing, no pun intended, but I still rank the Batman Arkham games just a little bit higher. Not even that it's a competition or anything, it's just my personal preference. But I agree with what they're saying and everything. And I think unique is a perfect way to sum up Ultimate Spider-Man, the game, because with my experience in the game, I love it. I love the art design. The art design is very different, and it's a breath of fresh air, honestly. All right, and now as we make it into the second paragraph, 20 years later, and Marvel is still finding new ways to keep Spider-Man fresh in games. It's expected that Marvel's Spider-Man 3 is on the way and will continue the story of Peter and Miles, though no one knows exactly where their story will go next. It will probably see the two of them battling against the Green Goblin, a character that has been teased for years now. However, this is far from the only Spider-Man sequel that would center around the Green Goblin. Okay, so now with that out of the way, let's talk about that. 20 years later, and now they're still trying to find new ways to keep it fresh. I can agree with that. Like, I think the implications um, of including Miles and stuff like that has been very cool. And Spider-Man 2, the newest one, has like held some of my favorite boss fights. Like that Sandman level was incredible. When he flings Miles, like, and Peter, it's just insane. The scale of the cities as well, because I've been playing the Spider-Man games since they've come out. So it's been crazy to see the development and how far we've come from Spider-Man 1 to Spider-Man 2, 3, the TASM games, Ultimate Spider-Man 1, stuff like that. So it's like friend or foe. It's just crazy to see it. I've even played some of the like D-tier games, like the X-Men game for the VTech. If any of you know what I'm talking about, good on you. And I think they are very much right that Green Goblin is probably the next direction for Spider-Man 3. Um, I guess I should have started this off with spoiler warnings for Spider-Man 2 if you haven't played it yet, because A, you don't have a PS5, or B, you just haven't got it on PC, or C, all of the above. But yeah, let's get into this. Okay, we got an image of Ultimate Green Goblin from the first Ultimate Spider-Man game. It looks like Ultimate Spider-Man 2 details and concept art. Okay, so we'll be getting into some concept art. That's pretty cool. All right, let's read this. Ultimate Spider-Man 2 is a game fans have wanted for years. The first one is arguably one of the best Marvel video games. As it turns out, it was in the works at one point. A story was developed alongside some concept art and early level ideas, but unfortunately, this is as far as it got. Ultimate Spider Man 2 was cancelled as Activision was also developing Call of Duty 3 and Spider Man 3. Two massive projects that required more manpower and resources. Although the first game was received well and a modest hit, it didn't sell well enough for Activision to feel confident in the sales potential of a sequel. Okay, so that's interesting. Now, if you didn't know already, Activision has made a lot of games, a lot of obscure games. You probably know them best from, as it says here, Call of Duty, but they've also done the likes of the Spider-Man games. They have done the Bakugan game, if you remember that. They hold the distinction of just having just random licensed games. So it's really interesting to see them like working on other projects like this and everything. Um, and it's interesting too that it's that if we maybe didn't get Spider-Man 3 the game, then we could have gotten the Ultimate Spider-Man 2 or vice versa. Or if they focused more on the Spider-Man games, what would have happened to Call of Duty? Would Call of Duty have been as popular? I feel like that goes without question because after Call of Duty 3, they get MW1, which is arguably one of the best Call of Duties. So, yeah, it's really interesting. And it's also interesting as well that it that at release it didn't sell well enough for Activision to feel confident because now, as stated up here, it's arguably one of the best Marvel video games. And it's kind of hard to argue. The Just everything about the game is so unique and different that it's hard not to love it. Anyway, here let's get into the next part. However, YouTuber Spidey Santa has released a new video that details what we could have seen in Ultimate Spider-Man 2. Thanks to interviews with developers and concept art from artist Ian Hosved. According to Hosved, the story of Ultimate Spider-Man 2 was the death of a Goblin storyline from the comics and was set to take place in the winter. However, the story was actually originally created for the video game by Brian Michael Bendis and eventually turned into a comic after the game was canceled. Okay, so a couple things there. It is cool that this since the game was canceled, they just ultimately turned it into a comic. That's really interesting in my opinion. And by the way, if I'm pronouncing Ian's last name wrong, please correct me, please. Um, but no, that's very interesting. And this is, and so quick side note as well. Lost Media is one of my like favorite special interests just of all time. And then Spider-Man is another one of my special interests. So that's kind of what birthed this video is just taking my two of my favorite things and just combining them into one. Um, so just reading this stuff is like really exciting and it makes me want to know more. Um, now I love I'm in a smaller minority that actually love the Ultimate Comics and everything, and I even recommend the Ultimate Avengers movies, 1 and 2, the animated ones. And the Ultimate Spider-Man comics are some of my favorite comics, and I'm actually not aware that this was from the canceled game, so that's really interesting actually. Yeah. So next up, players would have played as Green Goblin instead of Venom this time. Teamed up with heroes like Wolverine and Daredevil and Kitty Pryde, who have appeared would have appeared in some capacity. Given Spidey Santa's video is in Russian, I've summed up the story below, but I highly recommend watching his video to see some of the art and other footage he obtained. Okay. So I'm gonna leave Spidey Santa's video and channel as well down below. Um, but yeah, so that's interesting. So for anyone who hasn't played the first game, as seen here, Green Goblin is in the game, and if you're looking at this and you haven't read the Ultimate Spider-Man comics or played the game, this is how Green Goblin looks. He less looks like the Goblin that you know on the glider and everything, and he's more like this, where it's not a costume. It's more like how Bruce Banner goes from Bruce Banner to Hulk. It's like that, how Norman becomes the Goblin. Even here, you can see it's actually a lot like the Hulk, where he's just a big old green guy in purple shorts. But but yeah, so it's interesting as well that you were going to be able to play as Green Goblin like Venom because in the first game you get to play as Venom and everything, and it's cool as well that Wolverine comes back as well. Daredevil being in it sounds awesome. Kitty Pryde's amazing. By the way, take a shot. Don't do that. Take a sip of water each time I reference spectacular or amazing or just any Spider-Man pun. Yeah, so again, just really interesting too, and it would have been cool too that because I've noticed it says players, so that entails more than one player was planned. It would have been two-player maybe, which a two-player Spider-Man besides Spider-Man friend or foe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but is that the is that the first of that? Because I don't think we've seen that before or since. All right, as we scroll down here now. The story of Ultimate Spider-Man 2 would have been set during the summer and begun with Spider-Man and Daredevil fighting the Hand, a group of ninjas from Marvel Comics, as players got reacquainted with Peter. They'd see him get attacked by Green Goblin at school, leading to an explosive battle. Of course, Spider-Man stops him and he gets thrown into a shield prison. Okay, so very interesting here. So it would have been set during winter, which I think would have been very cool. And honestly, anytime I think of Spider-Man in the winter, I either think of the episodes of Spectacular Spider-Man or I just think of No Way Home. Those are just kind of my quick references for winter and Spider-Man, but I've always loved a good like winter comic. And seeing the hand right here, that's pretty interesting. Daredevil in the hand. It states here too that they're a group of ninjas from Marvel Comics. Some of you might also know them from the Netflix era of the Daredevil show, um, and the Defenders. because they show up in the end of the Defenders, I want to say. Editor me, please correct me if I'm wrong. Um, but yeah, so that would have been interesting too. Again, just I wonder if that has a two-player aspect because up there it says players. So I'm interested if there would have been like a split screen or what that would have been where maybe like you play as Spider-Man while player 2 plays as Daredevil, or just Daredevil also just exists in the game. Very interesting. And it's also interesting too that he attacks Peter at school. Yeah. So next up, Nick Fury shows Norman Osborn what the experiments he has done on his son have resulted in, resulting in an intense response. Despite security measures from S.H.I.E.L.D., Osborn transforms into the Goblin once more and is broken out. With the assistance of Doctor Doom, Goblin then forms an alliance with other imprisoned villains such as Craven, Vulture, Rhino, Electro to take down Spider-Man. Sabretooth was also once considered, but ultimately cut before the game was even canceled. Okay, so a lot to unpack there. We were going to get the likes of Doctor Doom, which is just crazy to think about. We were going to get Nick Fury and Shield. I'm assuming that Nick Fury that this was going to be similar to Ultimate Alliance and Friend or Foe. Those games are kind of going to be my reference for like the time point. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, I highly recommend those games. I am also kind of a bit of a Marvel shill, we'll say, since that's a trendy word nowadays. Um, but I love the early games. A lot of people will say games like Spider-Man 3 wasn't perfect and stuff like that. But like I feel like each game has its quirks. So with I bring up Friend or Foe as well because it's just interesting to see all of these other characters in Ultimate Alliance because Ultimate Alliance came out around the same time as this game was going to. So seeing Doctor Doom again is really cool, and the fact that he like breaks Goblin out and everything. And then Craven, who was in the first game, and if any of these facts are wrong, please correct me. I haven't played these games in a little bit. I do own them, just haven't played them in a while. I actually own most of the Spider-Man games. Um, but yeah, Vulture, Rhino was gonna make a return. That's pretty cool. Electro, and the fact that Sabretooth was considered, that's a big one, especially since up here they say that Wolverine was going to be in the game. So that's really cool, honestly. Yeah. Next up here we got Fury evacuates Harry Osborn, causing the Green Goblin to chase after him, seemingly to rescue his son. Spider-Man follows, but Harry is put on a helicarrier and sent away. After battling a couple of aforementioned foes, Spider-Man seeks help from his own allies, and the game transitions back to Goblin, giving players full control over him in Ultimate Spider-Man 2, similar to Venom from the first game. And he battles Beetle, who is working with Doom. Okay, again, very interesting here. So, we were going to get full control of Goblin, which is crazy to think about. And Beetle and everything. Beetle, real underrated villain, honestly, if you ask me. Um, my knowledge is decently limited on him. I mainly hate to say it, but I mainly know him from like the Lego games. Um, but I do know him from a couple comics and stuff here and there. But yeah, really interesting as well. Again, the fact that we'd be on a helicarrier, and there's that word again, foes. Called it Spider-Man friend or foe. You heard it here first. But yeah, nah, and again, Doom being referenced and Doom being in the game, just that's so cool. It also kind of makes me wonder: do you think maybe this would have led to this game then would have maybe been a like prequel, or a pre-sequel. If you play Borderlands, you get that. Um, of Ultimate Alliance. Like, would it then have been Ultimate Alliance 1, this game, then Ultimate Alliance 2? Really interesting. Oh, nice. We got some art here. Really like the look of him here, and I like the like stringiness of Spider-Man. I like how lengthy he is, and then you just got big Goblin here. I like that. Very good. Oh, and there's his Instagram here. Nice. That's really and I love the design here with the snow in the background. It's a nice contrast. I like that. Yeah, and any theories you guys have or any ideas that you guys have surrounding the game, please put them in the comments down below. I'd love to discuss this with everybody and just see what you all think. Um, and there probably will be a part two for this video where we just talk and talk more about this. Anyway, meanwhile, Spider-Man gets into a fight with Kraven, but Wolverine steps in to help out. They take out Kraven, but are quickly interrupted by Rhino, who is significantly larger, who is in a significantly larger suit with rocky launcher. I think the word they're looking for here is rocket, but sure, rocky launcher. Yeah, they shoot Rocky Johnson at him. You know, the High Chief Peter Miley, all of them. Yeah, no, they shoot them at him. Spider-Man throws Wolverine after swinging him around with his webs, and the Clawed Hero shreds up Rhino's suit. It seems that Ultimate Spider-Man 2 not only would have let you fight alongside other heroes, but use unique moves that combine their powers similar to Marvel Rivals team-up abilities. Okay, so like, for starters, awesome that we were gonna get team-ups like Spider-Man and Wolverine versus Kraven. Some Rocky launchers. Shout out Rocky. Um, but nah. Quick side thing. Yes, Marvel Rivals. Gotta get those clicks, you know. Marvel Rivals reference. Marvel Rivals. But if you're gonna talk about unique moves and be talking about this era of video games, you gotta reference Friend or Foe, man. And I know I keep referencing it, but like that game was a unreleased Spider-Man 4, and you can't convince me the art style was Spider-Man 4, Spider-Man like the Raimi trilogy. Also, just all the characters that show up in it was just perfect and everything. But yeah, and again, Rhino showing up with rocket launchers, as if Rhino couldn't be wasn't terrifying enough. They went and got him a larger suit and rocket launchers that shoot at Rocky Johnson. Sick. And unique moves. I wonder what that would have been though. Like if that would have been like combo moves or just like, oh look, we each do our own thing. Very interesting. All right. Goblin eventually finds and boards the helicarrier with Harry on board. Almost said Osborn there. Eventually leading to a heated conflict between the father and son. The intensity of the argument causes Harry to transform into the Hobgoblin, and the two battle it out on the helicarrier, hovering above New York City, as one might imagine. I mean, yeah, they're not gonna do that in the middle of the ocean. But quick side note as well: Harry Osborn turning into Hobgoblin. That is actually like straight out of the comics. That is how Hobgoblin debuts in the Ultimate Universe. They destroy the helicarrier and it crashes into the Brooklyn Bridge. Okay. Spider-Man swings over and finds Green Goblin holding Harry's dead body in his arms. Oh my god. Spider-Man fights him until he is knocked back into human form, where he is able to fully process the death of his son and feel incredible regret and sadness. My goodness. Okay, a lot to unpack here. So, as stated, Harry Osborn turns into the Hobgoblin, which again is right out of the comics, but then the helicarrier crashes into the bridge, and then Spider-Man, seeing his dead friend, just starts to put the boots to Green Goblin. My goodness. Back into human form, just so then Norman can process that his son died. Okay. Wow. It makes me curious too. Would that have then been a cutscene, a QTE, any of those stuff? And then would the helicarrier have been an explorable location once you have like the open map? It's wow. And this is the interesting part about Lost Media is like we don't have answers for this stuff until people like Ian here and Spidey Santa release this kind of info. We're just kind of left in the dark, but it's so interesting because it just makes you question things and it makes you wonder. And that's again why I implore you guys to please leave comments down below and discuss this with me because again, I am very much interested to see what you guys think about this all. And next up, Fury feels that the death and destruction caused by Osborn has gone too far and decides to execute him. Oh, so okay, lot to unpack there, real quick. And I hate pausing before finishing the thing, but for starters, to back up to this part as well, Harry dying in his first game appearance because correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think he appears in Ultimate Spider-Man 1. It's just crazy. And then Fury just goes, nah, Osborn's too much. He's gone too far. And then just kills him after he lost his son. Peter's gonna be going through it. Like, there's no way this man's having a good day. This is a Raimiverse level right now. Peter would then go back to school and tell his class they should honor Harry's memory. Though it's not clear how, after that, Ultimate Spider Man 2 ends. This is obviously a pretty loose version of the story, so there probably would have been a lot more that happens between all of these moments. There probably would have been more drama between Mary Jane and Peter Parker, other Marvel cameos, and side activities as well. Okay, let's unpack then all of this. My goodness. So the game would have ended there. So I wonder how much of that is focused on that. Like if it's Spider-Man and Daredevil fighting the Hand, and then during that there's a fade to black, and then you're Norman on the helicarrier. Interesting, but it's interesting as well because Peter, where is it here? Peter would then go back to class and basically tell him to honor Harry's memory. Does that imply that like people know that Peter's Spider-Man? Because why else would Peter not be in school and then pull up and be like, "Hey guys, Harry and Norman are dead. They were fighting in the helicarrier." Like, I don't know. That just seems like an interesting one to me. But nah, this guy's going through, and then we're led to believe that Mary Jane and Peter would have had drama. Like, man, again, bringing up the Raimi series. This guy just needs a nap. He just lost his friend, and now his lover is like, no, no, Peter, bad, bad Peter, and other Marvel cameos as well. So I wonder what else would have showed up at this point, because that means hell, we could have gotten Iron Man, Captain America, like back back in these days, comics and stuff were the Wild West. Anybody could show up anywhere. Now Sony's allergic to money and only lets Sony products like PlayStation and just now gives PC Spider-Man games. Like, I don't know, it's just it was better back then. We were allowed to have fun. Now it's all no, writes this, writes that. Who is texting me? Not now, I'm filming. Yeah, so next up we got the YouTuber also speculated that Doctor Doom was collecting DNA samples from key villains such as oh, man, you can tell I know how to read. Villains like Venom, Green Goblin, and Sandman. Which of which would have commune. I'm not reading it. I'm not reading it. I'm not embarrassing myself any further. Would have Nope. I'm drinking water. Hold on. Hold that thought, guys. Hold on. Water check. You guys drinking water at home? Hold on. All right. Water has been consumed. Let's try this again. Culminated. Let's go. Drink your water. Stay in school, kids. In a catastrophe. I'm not. Uh, am I okay? So, if you don't get an upload in a couple days, someone check on me. Threat in a later sequel. Okay, so by a later sequel, does that entail a third one? Because if they had 3 games planned, that would have been spectacular, amazing, friendly neighbor. All right, I'm done. Um, that's really interesting, and I really like that. And all right, that looks like the end of the first article. So I'll leave this as a part 1, and I'll leave this article down below in the comments, in the description down below. But yeah, to just talk about it a little bit more. Very interesting stuff here. Very interesting stuff. Um, some of the key points here is that it was going to be set during winter. That's again just a me thing. I love the thought of that. We were going to get multiple heroes and villains popping up. That's also Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom doing DNA tests. So we were going to get a. I'm sorry for referencing it. I'm sorry. I know a lot of you don't like it. But Doctor Doom was gonna do like a secret or Super Scroll secret invasion kind of thingy. That's pretty sick. Makes me wonder what they were gonna do with it, especially with Venom, Green Goblin, and Sandman. What we Spider-Man 3ing it over here because up here somewhere it says that they were working on Spider-Man 3, so they were well incorporated with these characters. Obviously, most characters are different in the Ultimate Universe, for better or for worse. But yeah, look at this guy. Yeah. So this is website number 1 of probably just a 2-parter. I don't really see us going too much further than 2 parts, but yeah. Sorry if I've made you guys dizzy from all the scrolling. Yeah. So what do you guys think about this? Leave a comment down below. And I'll try to reply to as many of you as I can. Leave a like, subscribe, share, click that bell if you're fancy. I won't make it. Subscribing is all you need. If you hit that bell, it just helps out. Drink some water, stay in school. Goodbye.